So my next video, following on from the last one, I wanted to talk about, which again came up high on the topic of what you would like me to discuss, was when the scales don't move and you're stuck in this plateau and you can't get your head around why it's not working while the scales aren't moving, because you're doing everything by the book, you're tracking everything right. And to be honest, sometimes that's just how it is. There's no actual answer as to why. I mean, it could be a million different things as to why the scales are not moving. So it is a case of having to break down what it may be, looking at things and readjusting, tweaking, So again, I've wrote down, just because I don't want to miss anything off, and there's quite a lot of important points. So this is just to sort of prompt me really. But I always say, the first thing to look at is if the scales aren't moving, because your first few weeks in any type of, weight loss journey, you're going to have losses, if you've gone from eating over calories. Say if you weren't even tracking your calories, for instance, so you don't even know what you was consuming calories. So for me, I didn't even track them. So I was probably eating the best part 4,000 or 5,000 calories, even more probably some days. And I didn't even give it a single thought. And it was only when I started tracking calories that you become very aware of calories that are in foods. Like, I was so shocked. Even now, I'm shocked at certain foods. When you go out to a restaurant and you see the calories, like 1,500 calories just for that burger and chips, and you're like, oh my God, that's some people's full, daily allowance. It's crazy. So definitely the first big thing would be to make sure and just go over your last couple of weeks' calories and just see, have you been tracking everything right? Is there any errors? Because trust me, it's easily done. Especially on like apps when you're putting in serving sizes and quantities and things. So please just double check everything, triple check everything. If you're then happy that it's not that, you can eliminate that if you like, and know that you're tracking spot on, and you're eating what you should be eating, you're tracking what you should be tracking. And I always sort of say, if after like 4 to 6 weeks you're doing, you've been having great losses and it suddenly just stopped, I would then maybe be looking at like, right, how's my lifestyle been over the last, those last few weeks? Has it been stressful? Have I had a lot on? Has it been my time of the month? Have I changed my activity? Have I increased it? Because I always say, again, activity, if you've gone from doing no activity to then doing, try to jump into the deep end, and you're doing a lot of activity, your body's going to hold on to a lot of inflammation, which holds on to a lot of water, which then makes you way heavier. So you have to remove any emotional thinking about it, and you have to be very logical. And again, I know this sounds really easy for me to sit and say this to you when you're sort of at the beginning and I'm where I am, but if you can learn one thing very early on at the start, it is to remove any emotional thought about it. It needs to be very methodical, very factual, very scientific. That's the way you need to now look at it, because that's exactly what it is. And when you then finally see it as that, you can then move and be logical about it, and you remove any emotions associated with the scales have not moved. Trust me, don't get me wrong. There's still times when I got weighed, even till the end, and I'd be like, do you know what? Yeah, I've had a great week. I felt great all week. I feel better in myself, And you know yourself, don't you? You know that you can feel like you've lost weight, but sometimes the scales are just not showing that. Like, your clothes are fitting better, but the scales are saying you've stayed the same, or you put half a pound on, or whatever. And trust me, it's still like a kick in the teeth. You're like, oh God. But again, very early on, I was like, right, no, I'm not letting it control me, because this is what it's done before. And if I want to see different results, I need to now move different. So, again, it's creating them new mindsets and removing those old barriers that never worked, and never got me where I needed to be. So I would stop myself. I'd have a minute and be like, yeah, that's pissed me off. Not going to lie. I've put a lot of effort in this week, but it is what it is. And then I'd switch logically. So I'd have my emotional minute, not even a minute, a few seconds. And then I'd be like, right, logic. It's probably because I've done 140,000 steps last week. My body's achy. My body's tired. I'm also on my period. I'm bloated. I'm carrying a lot of water. I'm stressed. So all those 3 things are now a big thing, if you like, and that's why, you know, again, medication, if you're on medication, I know a lot of you guys are on medications for whatever reason, that can have a big impact, not necessarily on you, well, I say not necessarily, that doesn't make you gain weight, like I've said in a video, but I will reiterate that. Medication does not make you gain weight. It can increase your appetite to then make you want to eat more, but medication does not make you gain weight. The only way you gain weight is by overeating your calories. It's as simple as that. There's no ifs, no buts. There's no menopause. Menopause has made me gain weight. No, they didn't. Menopause has messed with your hormones, making you feel hungrier, so you eat. So you've overate your calories. That's what's made you put on weight. So again, there's a, you know, once you then get that in your mind and you know that, you know, the only way to gain weight is by overeating your calories. Simple as that. There's no grey area. It's very black and white and very logical. So again, for me, that flicked something very early on, and it is a game changer. Removing all emotions. Yes, it can be hard to do that because we're humans, you know, we're emotional beings. But that is one thing I try and urge you. And again, like I said last time, in the Calorie Deficit Plus group, that is what we work on. Is breaking those down and creating those new barriers. But positive barriers, you know, ones that we don't tell ourselves this, and, you know, we're talking positive here. You know, we need to change the narrative. We need to rewrite the whole thing if you're then going to be successful in this journey that you're on. Again, I digress because I just get on there's so much that I need to, and I want to tell you all, and it comes out and then I say something that leads me on to something else. But anyway, back to it. So again, reassess after 4 to 6 weeks, triple check everything. Make sure there's no, you know, factors, medication, a busy week, you know, because sometimes my weeks are busy all the time. I don't ever get let up. So for me, I mean, I've not weighed for a long time purely because like I said before, I'm in this transition of weight training. My body's up and down. I'm busy all the time, steps, activity. And I just weigh heavy all the time because of that. But I know when I look in the mirror and I'm trying on clothes, I love what I see. My body shape's coming on nice. You know, I'm getting a lot of definition. So I'm happy. So I've just removed the scales and the numbers completely. For me, that's now, I'm not interested in that. Whether or not I'll go back to that when I am trying to cut and lose this last little bit, I don't know. You know, I need to see where I'm going to go with that. But for where I am right now, I'm happy. So yeah, if after that things are still not moving, I would then look at maybe increasing. So I was very set in my activity levels and what I would do. Like I used to go to the gym, but I would just do the treadmill. I started off 10, 15, 20 minutes, and obviously over the years, that became then 70 minutes on the treadmill. I wouldn't do anything else. It literally was just 70 minutes on the treadmill. I mean, it was great. I loved it. I felt amazing. But I was just very set in that routine, and it didn't even occur to me to think, right, let me just reassess my activity because my body's used to that. I'm used to the amounts of steps that I'm doing, you know, so I would reassess your activity, maybe add a bit more variety in there, look at the intensity, increase the intensity, you know, just switch it up a little bit and just see. Again, obvious ones, but ones that we overlook. Hydration, you know, again, hydration, you need to think of it as you're flushing it. You know, you need to keep the water coming in to keep everything moving. So again, hydration, be hydrated, keep hydrated, force yourself, and then it then just becomes a natural part of your day. So just honestly, the first couple of weeks, you're going to be like fed up of going to the toilet. You're going to be sick of it. But use juices, you know, squash, whatever. I have my Coke Zero, that's what, because I've run out of juice. And it's, it's not great. But, you know, we need to do it. If you want to be successful, you just have to do it. It's a case you suck it up and do it. That is it, you know. Yes, it's blunt, but unfortunately, there's no secrets. There's no diet. There's no magic pills. There's no magic anything. It literally is a case of you just need to do it. Again, sleep. Enough sleep. Again, it's one that we all overlook. But making sure you get enough sleep and you feel well rested and you're giving your body the rest, especially if you do a lot of activity. We need to plan those rest, you know, the good sleep, the rest days and stuff like that. I mean, I'm terrible for that, but I have been a lot better recently. Again, look at your no scale victories. Try not to focus solely on the scales. Look at your clothes. Look how you're feeling. Look at your body shape. Look at your measurements. That's why I said before, take your measurements. It's all those little wins that actually you need to be looking at and not just the scales. Next, I would say you need to look at your goals. You know, is it realistic? Reassess your goals. Is the amount of weight you want to lose realistic in the time frame that you're giving yourself? You know, we say 1 to 2 pounds a week is healthy. Trust me, that is a healthy, normal weight loss. You do not want to be dropping calories too ridiculous, because all that's going to happen is you're going to lose this weight so quick. You're loving it because you're like, yeah, it's dropping off. I feel great. And once you then get to the weight that you want to be, you'll go back to eating your normal of how your normal was, and it's just going to go straight back on because you've not worked on any of those, you know, habits that you've had forever. You've just literally gone straight in, and you'll just end up back at square one. Trust me, I know, because I've been there, done that. I mean, more times than I can even count, to be honest. It needs to be sustainable. Yes, it might be slow going. Yes, you will get bored. Yes, you will eat the same food. Yes, you will do your own head in. But unfortunately, that is the price that you pay for getting to where you want to be. You need, like I say, you need to just knuckle down, have a bit of grit about you, but be patient. You know, you didn't become overweight overnight. It's happened over years. Yeah, it ain't gonna come off. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not gonna come off quick, and it ain't gonna be easy, but it will be worthwhile. Trust me. You need to trust the process. I think that should be my tagline, actually. You need to trust the process, because you do. And I know it's really hard to trust the process when you've got all this outside noise and all these different, try this, do this, have this pill, have this shake. Trust me, you need to drown all that out, because ultimately, you know, the only way to do it is by putting the work in and putting the effort in. There's no secret. There's no magic shake. There's no diet pills. There's no injections. Well, there is. You can go buy it. You can go do it. But, you know, again, you'll just come full circle. Staying committed, again, that ties in quite nicely. Yeah, being patient and staying committed. Just keep going. Literally, you wouldn't say, right, let's use this analogy, for instance. You get a flat tyre. You wouldn't then go slash the other 3 tyres because you've got 1 flat tyre. No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, do you know what? Let's go get a new tyre. Let's get it repaired and carry on. You just need to keep it going. Slow it down, yes, if you need to. Have a week or 2 at maintenance, you know, whatever. Have a little bit of a diet break, you know. Switch it up, because, again, that is encouraged. If you feel like you're stuck, go up to maintenance for a few weeks. I've done that many a times, and it's given me a kick. I would eat at maintenance for a few weeks and I'd drop 4 pounds. Honestly, the mind boggles. I'm not sure what scientific term you would use for that. I don't know, because it's beyond, you know, my depth of knowledge. But I know it's a thing. I know it works because it's worked for me many times. Still works for me now. So I would encourage that, you know, go to maintenance for a couple of weeks. Yes, it's scary because you're eating more calories than what you've been used to and you think you're going to gain weight. Actually, you'd be shocked. So just try it. Again, trial and error. You need to find what works for you. Your number that you start with at the beginning is going to constantly change. The more you lose, you're going to have to reevaluate. You're going to have to reassess. And yes, it's annoying, but if you have a lot to lose like I did, you're going to have to reassess and reevaluate a lot. But you'll also find that this is where it just keeps things interesting and it keeps things moving. You can't stay on the same calories and expect it to work for the whole journey, because it's just not going to happen. It just doesn't happen like that. And you need to be positive and pair that up with the no scale victories of the quick wins you can fit in a size 12 now. You know, stuff like that really keeps you going. And again, stress management for me. So I do a lot of yoga and meditation, because I would say I'm not naturally a stressy person. I'm more of a perfectionist and a control freak. So when things are not going the way they should be because scientifically they should be moving because I'm doing everything right. I'm eating in the deficit, I'm doing my steps, I'm drinking my water, you know, I'm doing all of that, everything that we're being told to do, and it's still not moving. So then that used to then make me think, right, well, it stressed me out. I'd be like, well, what am I doing wrong? And then you start to then encroach on this, you know, this mindset of, oh, I'm just going to give up, I'm just going to stop. And you can't, because what happens when you stop? Everything stops then, and you just give up. And then again, you're back at square one, and you sit, months down the line, you'll sit and think, why did I stop? Because if I'd have carried on when I was at that point last time, you'd be at this point now, you know. So you really do, yes, it's frustrating, trust me, I know it is. You feel like you're banging your head against the wall, you feel like giving up, you feel like all of that, but you just can't. If you truly want it, you just need to keep your head down and power through it. Try all of those different steps, because I'm telling you now, hand on my heart, there'll be something that you think that you're doing, but you're not. You need to tweak it, you need to change it. Trial and error, swap the numbers, increase the activity, you know, do more. If you're eating low calories anyway, up your activity. I know Dylan in the group, he raves about this, and it's so true. It's not about eating minimal calories. That's not what it's about. It's about eating the most calories you can, whilst also either losing or maintaining. You want to be on the highest number of calories you can possibly be on and enjoying all these foods you love. And if that means you then have to increase your activity or your steps to allow that, because that's the approach that I take, is that it's that balance, isn't it, of enjoying what you love and being able to enjoy what you love by, you know, increasing your activity and knowing that you do all these steps. So it's finding, and trust me, it's a fine line, and it's hard to find that balance. But now I know, I don't even really have to give it much thought now, is that if I know I've done a busy week, like last week, for instance, 135k steps, I could go out on that Sunday and have that and not even give it a thought or track it or even attempt to track it, because I know that I've done enough activity for that day and that week to cover it. Like, it's not even a thing. It doesn't become an issue. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so those are my tips, if you like, for when the scales are not moving and you're feeling pretty much in the trenches with it, and you feel like, oh, God. But we see it all the time after a week, 2 weeks. Oh, I had a good week last week, my first week, but this week I've stayed the same. Or I've put a pound on. That's not enough time. I'm sorry to tell you, but that is not enough time to give your body, for one, to get used to any of this, because you've got to think it's all new. You've gone from eating what you wanted to then, you know, this healthier eating, better choices and all of that. Like, it takes time for your body to readjust and to get used to it and stuff. So honestly, you need to give it time and be consistent and patient. That really is the secret to it, you know, and it's not even a secret. So please do, yeah, try not to get too overwhelmed by it. Try not to let you derail you, for one, and trust the process, guys. Honestly, trust the process.